categorically define health, fitness, and well-being. So let's start here. We want to talk about health. Fairly obvious. It's first on the list. Let's see what this thing is. Get ready. Here we go. Crikey, what a lot of... I'm not sure about my colour combinations there, but let's go through this. So I guess the greeny stuff is the stuff I really, really want you to focus on. So health is a state, all right? It's a state of being. It is being something. And it is a combination of mental, so kind of emotional, personal, psychological, physical, so that kind of somatic or physical sensation, and social well-being. So it is a combination of all of these things, okay? So let's be really clear about that. It is a combination of all of those things. So if we are physically well, if we are mentally well, if we are socially engaged and well, we are moving towards health. It kind of makes sense. It's intuitive. However, we also want to stress this point, that health is absolutely not freedom from illness, okay? So we are not healthy because we are unill, if you see what I mean. So it is not a matter of being unill. Let's make that really, really clear. Okay, let's strike that out. It's not a matter of being unill. We need to be well, okay? So it's leaning towards happiness, it's leaning towards feeling good, it's leaning towards positive thoughts, not just not being poorly. And I think those things do get sort of they do get overlapped quite significantly, and maybe that's normal. So let's have a think. What therefore leads to a healthy lifestyle? Okay, so let's make some notes on this. We want to know, what are the components of a healthy lifestyle? If we've just defined health is this complete state of physical, let me get it right around, mental, physical, and social well-being, and it is not merely absence of illness, then what makes it up? So here's a few things. You will not be surprised to see me write on the screen the notion of balanced diet. We will study it in more detail elsewhere, but we are talking about the right proportions and the right quantity of the right nutrients. That makes sense. It leads to us being healthier. Secondly, again, you will not be surprised. We are talking about, that is a G, believe it or not, we are talking about regular exercise. Now, we could get specific here. We could talk about 5 episodes of 30 minutes for adults. We could talk about 7 episodes of 60 minutes for children. But I want you to focus on the word regular. That means it's almost like set or typical interludes or intervals, that it's done for a lifetime. It's regular. Both of those things will aid, won't be the only drivers, but they will aid what we refer to as healthy body weight. Now, there's numerous ways to look at this, but one of the ways I would encourage you to look at it is as a body weight that once your body is fully formed and you're adult, it doesn't change significantly or rapidly over time. So we've got healthy body weight. Now, I should say on body weight, people do change over time. Body weight does change with age. I won't get into the details of that now, but of course there are realities to these things. Now, we want to get our wording really clear here, not smoking. Now, I guess this relates to I could use smoking as a broad term, but we are talking about the smoking of dangerous products such as nicotine and tar-based cigarettes, say. That's what we're referring to as not smoking. And notice the word not there. Smoking is outright bad for you, okay? So for all of us. So it's something that we are comfortable, I guess, as educators to say, look, really, ideally, you shouldn't be doing that. And I should say at this point, I'm not a big one for telling young people what to do, but I do feel comfortable in really putting my sort of, as it were, pinning my colours to this one. Not smoking is a good idea, okay? So, everyone's going to make their own choices, but I feel reasonable stressing that to you. Now, this is an interesting one, the way we word this. We are talking about levels of sensible, interesting, alcohol consumption. Now, let's think about this again, a bit like I talked about the smoking. Drinking large quantities of alcohol frequently or regularly is not good for you, okay? So we know that it can lead to liver cirrhosis. We know that it affects brain function. We know that it can be very negative around maternity and pregnancy, for example. So because societally so many people do drink, I think that the expectation is that it's sensible. Now again, if you don't want to drink, you shouldn't feel that it's in any way abnormal or unusual. You certainly don't need to, but that's the wording we're going to use here. Next, we're talking about the minimizing of stress. Okay, stress is an interesting thing because it leads to the release of adrenaline over time, and that can make quite strong impacts on things like our vascular system. So stress is something we want to reduce or at least manage sensibly. Everyone has stresses in their lives. When even around positive things we can have stress. if we moved house, for example, we could experience stress. But the idea is to manage and minimize that, and we'll come to aspects of that elsewhere. Now, before we go any further, I can't remember how far I put this, I want to introduce to you a notion of fitness. Now, think in your mind what fitness is, okay? Where is it? It must be further down. I've just revealed it on the screen. Where is my fitness quote? There it is. Okay, we're arguing here that fitness is a person's capacity to carry out life's activities without getting tired. So let's just think about this second. That suggests that fitness, by the way, which is what this is, fitness, it suggests that it's relative. Why? Why is it relative? Why is it different for different people? Well, it's a person's capacity to carry out life's activities, and this is different for you and for me. I am, you guys are probably walking, cycling, school, you're probably playing sport the weekend, you're probably moving about a lot. In my case, for example, I'm sat at a desk sort of 8, 10, 12 hours a day, 5 to 6, even sometimes 7 days a week. My life's activities are different to yours, so therefore our level of fitness requirements are probably different. Obviously, if I start playing sport, if I join a football team or a hockey team, that changes my activity level, okay? So therefore my fitness needs to respond to that, and that's what the body does. But we want to stress here, it's without getting tired. So, it's not just about getting through things, it's being able to meet the demands of life's, the demands of the day, of the week, without getting tired. And we should just throw into this the notion of adaptation. If we do increase life's activities, our body will adapt, okay? So we will have physiological changes. It's worth mentioning that. Last thing from me today, folks, I want to define for you well-being, which, oh dear, what a colour combination. I'm not happy with my colour combinations today, but let's focus here on well-being, okay? Well-being, it's a word that's used very broadly in sort of modern parlance. So let's see if we can kind of get to the nitty-gritty of it. First of all, we're saying it's a feeling. So well-being is like this, it's this positivity, I guess. It's this, I'm going to use the word contentment. It's this feeling of, yeah, that today's a good day. I'm feeling good, because it's a mental state or a feeling of being contented. Contented meaning sort of happy, satisfied. But it's also being happy, prosperous, and I made this word and pink because it's also about being healthy. Well-being is linked to health, and of course it's linked to that sort of mental aspect of health very closely. But it's hard to have this well-being if, for example, socially or physically, we've got ill health or poor health, for example. So we're linking well-being, but it's a feeling or mental state of being contented, happy, prosperous, and healthy. That is well-being. Cheers.